Hello guys, welcome back to our Anime Explainer. Today is explanation of upcoming episode of Swallowed Star based on novel. So let's start. Black Dragon Mountain Star Sector, in the World of Thunder on the famous Kanglan Star. 36 days has passed since Luo Feng first entered the World of Thunder. Weeds were rampant on the plains, and some of the weeds were even taller than 10 meters. These weeds also became tough after absorbing the energy of the universe, rivaling A-grade alloys, which were much harder than the diamonds on Earth. When the wind blew, the grass bowed down, sometimes revealing the resting monsters on the plain. 5 flowing lights flew past the plain. A huge monster covered in blue scales lay there like a hill. It seemed to notice something and glanced over as he let out a roar, tilde, and then lowered its head again. We have already left the territory of the blue-scaled alligator. There is a horde of monsters at 11 o'clock, 18.9 kilometers away. We'll go around them. The 5 flowing lights slightly paused. Luo Feng, in his alloyed battle uniform set, spoke through his spiritual force, let's go. We'll advance 3,000 kilometers more and then rest. Yes, Master. Tainan He and Aogu were very respectful. The 5 flowing lights continued to fly forward, with Barbata's warning, I thought this universe mercenary trainee exam would be easy. Who would have thought that it would be even more complicated than I originally thought? Luo Feng looked towards the distance as he flew on his soaring shuttle. The weeds to the side swiftly retracted. I thought it would only take a month to reach the Valley of Wind and Thunder, but it looks like it'll take at least 50% longer than planned. After almost 4 hours later, stop, spoke Luo Feng telepathically. The 5 of them stopped at the same time. Even Hong and Thunder God listened to Luo Feng's commands in the World of Thunder, because they knew. Luo Feng had a special sensor that could detect all danger within a certain radius. Tainan He, Aogu, you two take turns being on guard. My brothers and I will rest first, said Luo Feng. Yes, Master. The 2 of them replied respectfully. Luo Feng surveyed his surroundings. It was currently nighttime and weeds were everywhere, so the naked eye could barely see anything. We were lucky today, didn't encounter much danger. Thunder God let out a smile. Right now, we can finally let out a breath. I was also afraid something like yesterday would happen again. Hong also let out a sigh of relief. Finally, with Aogu combined with the hybrid copper shard, and the 2 liquid silver guards, their squad did everything they could to escape. We were lucky yesterday, sighed Luo Feng. If that black-ringed snake horde appeared earlier and worked together with those hundreds of monsters to surround us, we probably wouldn't have been able to escape. Black-ringed snake horde. Thunder God glared. Don't remind me. Whenever I think of yesterday, I get a bit scared. Yesterday was the worst day we had in the World of Thunder. Use your time wisely and train, commanded Hong. There are very few opportunities to train in the World of Thunder. Okay, all right. Luo Feng and Thunder God spoke no more and then closed their eyes to train. Luo Feng was quite pleased with his days of training in the World of Thunder. Even though some accidents have occurred on their journey and all of them almost ended up getting killed several times. This kind of pressure caused them to improve very rapidly in the past 36 days. Maybe it's because the World of Thunder is packed with the universe energy essence, causing them to train faster. Or maybe it's because of the evolution catalyst they received from the virtual universe. Anyway, 36 days, along with the days of them rushing from Bailan Star to Dragon Star, and then from Dragon Star to Kanglan Star, in these 2 months, Luo Feng was able to step into the Star Level 2 stage from the Star Level 2 stage. This is simply an improvement of the body itself. The biggest improvement is his progress he made with the soaring shuttle and soul seal. Luo Feng's personal virtual space. On top of a huge mountain that entered the clouds, Luo Feng appeared in a white robe. Beside him was a blood-red castle erected on the top of the mountain. Rumble tilde, the castle doors opened. Master, the 18 rock golems respectfully yelled. Luo Feng. Barbata yelled with surprise, what is it? Luo Feng looked at Barbata with a confused look on his face. You finished the basics of Soul Seal, said Barbata with shock. In the Yunmo planet sect, Soul Seal is ranked at the top. Ever since Luo Feng received these training manuals, he learned all of the basics of all the training manuals deemed high priority by Barbata. After that, he started learning according to his interests. Luo Feng mainly focused on Soul Seal and Tower of the Void because, according to the training manuals, the Master of Yunmo Planet clearly prided himself on these 2 training manuals. The Master of Yunmo Planet once said in the training manual of Soul Seal, the Soul Seal method is the most important technique in our Yunmo planet sect, and is also the biggest reason for my, Huyangbo's, rise to power. And the master of Yunmo planet also said in Tower of the Void, young disciple, you mustn't relax on your training of the Tower of the Void. If I was able to finish the 7 floors tower of the Tower of the Void back then, I wouldn't have ended up dying. When venturing into the universe, defensive techniques are extremely important. And so, Luo Feng always practiced these 2 techniques seriously. Training a technique takes a large amount of time, energy and talent. However, Luo Feng hasn't had these training manuals for long. Even though his strength improved quite rapidly, the main factor for that is mainly due to the golden horned beast's body. Otherwise, according to Barbata's plan, it would take him 50 years to reach the star level. Mainly because he needs to build up a solid foundation. And so, after spending so much time, Luo Feng finally met the most basic requirements of Soul Seal. And Tower of the Void still remains at the most basic level of the first stage. What, Barbata, is that weird? Luo Feng was shocked. You met all of the various requirements in Soul Seal Part 1, followed Barbata. I have, said Luo Feng. Oh. The soul nurtured by the golden horned beast is powerful after all. Barbata couldn't help but to compliment. I thought it would have taken another few years. Oh yeah, Luo Feng, from now on, you can practice the 10,000 Blades Soul Seal in Soul Seal Part 2. This is the most basic Soul Seal. Once you completely learn the 10,000 Blades Soul Seal, you'll have the qualifications to form your slave seal, explained Barbata. Luo Feng started to get a bit excited after listening. To truly control someone based off of the Soul Seal technique is very difficult. There are various requirements that must be met on the Soul Seal technique. At least, the current Luo Feng couldn't do it. First learn the 10,000 Blades Soul Seal. Luo Feng flipped through the book. Barbata, there are so many different techniques in here, so why learn this one? Luo Feng couldn't help but to ask, stupid. Focusing on one thing always yields better results, scolded Barbata. Aren't you mainly focusing on the soaring shuttle? Then the Soul Seal technique you practice has to be able to affect the enemy. This 10,000 Blades Soul Seal transforms the Soul Seal into a blade and directly attacks the soul. It can make the enemy feel like their head is about to split apart. A single moment of delay in battle is enough for your soaring shuttle to rip him to shreds. Okay, nodded Luo Feng, begin then. Training the 10,000 Blades Soul Seal is not easy. After you finish your training, with your progress on the Soul Seal, you'll be able to form your slave seal. When that happens, you can directly enslave other people and make them become your slave for eternity. Just like how your teacher had 9 undying slaves, Barbata cast out the bait. The slave seal. How exciting. Luo Feng was looking forward to this technique. Even if it was only for this slave seal, he had to seriously practice the 10,000 Blades Soul Seal, while Luo Feng's consciousness was in the virtual space reading the Soul Seal training manual and training the first offensive Soul Seal technique. The 10,000 Blades Soul Seal, his other body, the golden horned beast, completely delved into its training of Absolute Realm. Inner world. On the Golden Continent, the golden horned beast that was as large as a mountain range continued to cast the Absolute Realm technique. There was a sliver of dissatisfaction in those dark golden eyes. After so long, I can't even finish the first stage of Absolute Realm. What's going on? In the world of thunder, the pressure seemed to raise Luo Feng's comprehension skills quite a bit. He also made a bit of progress on Absolute Realm. However, he was still very far away from completing the first stage of Absolute Realm. The golden horned beast let out a roar of anger. As of now, its current body length exceeded 900 meters. Immersed in training, time flew by quickly. Luo Feng, it's already daybreak. Hong and Thunder God have stopped their training. Within the quiet training room, lying in a chair sleeping, Barbata said with his eyes closed. Luo Feng closed the book within his hands, closing his eyes, recollecting the images within his mind regarding the 10,000 Blade Soul Seal secret techniques training process, unleashing process along with its theories and explanations, etc. After which, Luo Feng smiled as he opened his eyes. He at least had a grasp on the logic behind the 10,000 Blade Soul Seal technique. From tomorrow, he would begin training it properly. The moment he finished, this 10,000 Blade Soul Seal would become Luo Feng's #1 soul attacking technique. Barbata, I'm leaving. Luo Feng placed the book back on the shelf. Countdown reminder, the amount of time before the Nuolan Shan family's troops arrive on Earth is another 2 years 4 months, and 29 days. Barbata shouted, 2 years 4 months and 29 days. Luo Feng repeated the words softly, his eyes gleaming coldly. The Nuolan Shan family troops that would arrive on Earth after 2 years, while he couldn't have any hopes or wishes for the others to be able to help within the short 2 years, he'd have to fend them off himself, a little more than 2 years. What do we do? If the Nuolan Shan family fleet sends a universe level 6 or 7 warrior, how will I deal with it? Luo Feng was troubled. His golden horned beast's body was definitely able to break into the universe level in a few months. However, the moment it breaks into the universe level, the evolution time required would be greatly increased, and if he wanted to use the proper metal groupings, those prices were much more than those used during the star level. The amount of money he had wasn't sufficient. Milky Way, dark space. A D3 grade streamlined ship shaped like an axe was swiftly flying through space. By Carlo, you've broken through. Within the control room, with pointy ears, the Nuolan Shan's second head when Nuolan Shan turned to look at the approaching person. Yes. Covered in a black robe, By Carlo nodded his head. De Wen felt dissatisfied within. He, as the family's second head, naturally bowed before the head ancestor much earlier. And this By Carlo was even his junior. However, his awareness level was extremely high. He was the most exceptional amongst the heirs of the Nuolan Shan family. Right now De Wen was at universe level 6 while By Carlo was at universe level 8. This By Carlo naturally had an air of arrogance around him. Universe level 8, in terms of awareness, battle experience, By Carlo far exceeded the previous head De Wen. By Carlo, what warriors did you mention were on Earth? Since even our elite team hasn't responded at all, and are all probably dead, this enemy must not be weak at all. De Wen looked at the beautiful scenery of space ahead of him, asking his junior beside him. By Carlo's eyes looked outside. The automaton ship has been there for so long without anyone taking it. Even with a strong person there, he can't be that strong. De Wen's eyes gleamed, smiling. Junior has a point. Senior, how long before we arrive on Earth? By Carlo said coldly. About another 2 years, 4 months and 26 days. De Wen said, oh, then I'll first enter the virtual universe. By Carlo said, turning and leaving the control room. De Wen looked at the back of By Carlo, cursing within his heart, this bastard, he probably only left his cabin just to come and ask about how much longer we needed to travel. Before, while we traveled through the wormhole, he didn't even show. Now that he knows how much longer we need, he'll probably not ever show himself again, until we arrive at Earth. By Carlo was an exceptional loner amongst the Nuolan Shan family heirs. If Luo Feng were to know that this time the Nuolan Shan family had sent 2 powerful universe-level warriors, one universe level 6 stage, and the other 8 stage, the pressure he would feel would be greatly increased. It had been 51 days since they entered the world of thunder. No problem, let's continue advancing. Thunder God sat on the ground and shouted. At this time, Thunder God's waist was covered in fresh blood, completely drenching his robe and visible from the outside. Don't show off. After all, we are pretty close to the Valley of Wind and Thunder. Another 8,000 or so kilometers, we can reach in a day. Luo Feng said softly, your injuries are heavy. Even if you use the Mu-Ya crystal, it'd take a few hours to recover. Right, second brother, even if we leave tomorrow, it wouldn't be late. Hong looked at Thunder God. Thunder God gritted his teeth, cursing softly, damn, that scum bird. Luo Feng felt helpless with the situation. Since the trek from the Long Suo mountain range heading to Valley of Wind and Thunder, they had traveled a good half of the world of thunder. Before, in Long Suo mountain range they relied on Barbata's surveillance devices, hence they never really met with dangers, thus the group had been really positive till now. Who would have thought that when the group truly began their trek across half of the world of thunder, only then did they truly find out, as an elimination exam world, it wasn't as easy as they thought. A scanning diameter of 20,000 meters. It was useful within the mountain range and forests, as there were an abundance of trees and growth within the forest. A distance of 20,000 meter was still very safe, however of a flat land area, grassland area, swamp area, reef mountainous region etc. A few ferocious beasts could see over 100 miles and spot them immediately. With the ferocious beast's speed, even if the gravitational pull of the world of thunder was huge, it'd still only require them only 1 or 2 seconds to travel over the 20 kilometers distance. A 20 kilometers surveillance area, with the time needed for Luo Feng to react and inform the others, it gave his group less than a second to escape. Hence meeting dangers was extremely common. And just before, an eagle-like golden bird flying high in the skies had surveyed the group below it from far away, hence it rushed over to kill them. This golden bird's speed was extremely quick, and also very powerful. Much stronger than average star level 9 fighters, Tainan he was captured and flown away on the spot. Its powerful claws wreaked havoc. Luo Feng and Hong were both wearing alloy battle armors, however their internal layer was covered with the cloud contact vine, hence they were unharmed. Thunder God however felt the brunt of it. Luckily he only received scratches from claw attacks from a distance. Had it been a physical contact itself, he would have lost his life. And that golden bird, after suffering a soul attack from Aogu, knew it would be hard to win, hence it turned and fled into the skies. Everybody needs to be on alert. The ferocious beast's speeds are extremely fast. By the time I discover them and inform everybody, we'll have very little time to escape and dodge. Luo Feng said softly, we are only about 8,000 kilometers away from the Valley of Wind and Thunder, a day's trek at most. Let's not get careless on the last day. We've had such a perilous journey. Those teams without the surveillance system, coming here, must definitely go through complete life and death situations. Thunder God couldn't help but say, the amount of danger we've encountered isn't little too. Hong said. Another night of quiet training. Tonight, Luo Feng was training within the slaughter space of the killing fields. These 10 days of training, he was partially training the soaring shuttle while working on his 10,000 blades soul seal. This move's first layer was finally completed. Its targets and requirements were simple. To be able to produce a soul seal blade. Soul attack relied on using spirit reading theory to arrange and form the most effective path of attack. Back then, the spirit readers of Earth's awareness level and soul attacks were extremely weak. Even the same stage and level fighters couldn't be killed with a soul attack. This soul seal blade's construct is obviously astonishing and meticulous, much more orderly. Luo Feng was extremely happy with the soul seal blade. His power had doubled. Even a higher level fighter, if attacked by a soul seal blade, if he survived, he'd mostly blank out for a moment mentally. And the soaring shuttle could take the opportunity to kill this enemy. One mental and one real. This was the true power of a spirit reader. If it were purely mental, relying of the soul attacks, illusions etc., or pure force, relying on the spirit weapons, these ways weren't the true power of a spirit reader. It was a pity, whether it was spirit weapon control techniques, or soul attack techniques, these were all not to be divulged. Every secret technique was extremely valuable. And the higher level the techniques, the harder it was to be even bought. The which the Yunmo Planet Master was most proud of was a special technique that an undying being wouldn't even trade for an entire star field. This was also why the heirs and disciples with background and teachers train so quickly and break through so easily. 5 beams of light stopped. It was these 5. This little group gazed at the distant mountains. Those mountains seemed to be covered in snow. Accurately speaking, that wasn't snow, but large amounts of rocks and stones madly flying about. Also above the mountain in the skies were cumulus clouds, lightning snakes flying all about, seemingly as though lightning could strike at any time. Big brother, third brother, according to the map coordinates. Ahead is Valley of Wind and Thunder. Thunder God held his breath. The thunder clouds have hovered above for long periods of times. This world of thunder, besides the Valley of Wind and Thunder, there's no other place like this. Hong too squinted his eyes. Luo Feng held his breath and watched. The Valley of Wind and Thunder was the core of the world of thunder, its center point, and also its most dangerous place. And one of the required items to pass the Universe Mercenary Trainee exam was here. The Wind Cornerstone. One had to acquire it here at the Valley of Wind and Thunder. Let's go. Luo Feng said softly. The 5 didn't fly anymore, walking towards the Valley of Wind and Thunder. Oddly enough, there wasn't a single ferocious beast around. Most probably it was because they knew of the valley's dangers. There weren't any plants on the valley, just bare stone. These stones were dark and black, occasionally with hints of silver. The wind's really strong. Luo Feng felt that his walk alone wasn't stable. Just how strong is this wind? Thunder God and Hong couldn't help but exclaim as well. The level 12 typhoon on Earth, to a star level, couldn't and didn't have any impact on them at all. However, at this moment, Luo Feng, Hong and Thunder God couldn't even walk properly. This was on an unbelievable level altogether. According to the books, the wind from the Valley of Wind and Thunder gets stronger as we head more to the center and deeper within. The wind at the most center region is like knives. It carries with it strong amounts of universe energy. Even universe-level warriors flying into the center would be madly torn and shredded apart, no questions about it. The mad wind covers the most dangerous region within, however that's the place with the most wind cornerstones. Of course there are still many wind cornerstones dancing about in the wind. The entire Valley of Wind and Thunder's most dangerous thing is the thunder and lightning. The moment lightning strikes, even a weaker domain lord will die immediately. Universe levels have no chance of survival, much less us star levels. Everybody think, how are we going to go acquire those wind corner stones? Luo Feng looked at the four beside him. At that time a voice resounded in his mind. Luo Feng, around the 20 kilometers area of your team, there are a total of 1092 humans. So many. Luo Feng was shocked, looking at his surroundings. He could barely make out the silhouettes of 2 to 3 teams. A large number of teams are close to the valley. They are all hidden, hence if we don't look carefully, it'll be hard to actually spot them. Barbata's voice resounded. Understood. Luo Feng said the mountain range was bare. The stones on it were mostly all black, mixed with the occasional silver. Luo Feng's team carefully progressed. The center region of this mountain seemed as though it was struck by a heavenly battle knife, splitting it completely open, creating the valley. This enormous valley that seemed to have been split in two by a blade, is the Valley of Wind and Thunder. With universe energy as its core and source and the winds blowing violently about, mixed with large amounts of stones, amongst them were wind corner stones, dancing in the wind. And within the valley at the two sides of the mountain, groups from families from the Black Dragon Mountain Empire, various powers and youths from different planets. They were the younger generation, youths who hadn't yet become true universe warriors. This time was their first step and exam into becoming strong. Luo Feng, this is the map. On it the location I've marked out is an extremely good spot. It'd be best for your team to hide out there. Barbata communicated mentally. Luo Feng lowered his head and looked at the screen on his arm. Follow me. Luo Feng said softly. Hong, Thunder God and the other two quietly followed. The closer they got to the valley, the more violent the winds got. Luo Feng came to a particular huge stone and fiercely moved it away, revealing a cave, communicating mentally. Everyone get in. There's a cave within connecting directly to the valley mountain. You can even find such a place. Thunder God couldn't help but compliment. Go in. Hong led the way in. In this world of thunder, the spirit reader's area of scanning was very small. That was their ability in the air, and for their spirit reading to pass through the universe energy-infused stones, star levels and below weren't able to do so. Without spirit reading to scan, these sort of places were extremely hard to find. And for someone to actually dig himself. With the mountain rubble that had been strongly ground and molded for long periods of time by the mad winds, it would take at least 1 to 2 days of work to dig through. Good thing we have Barbata. Luo Feng jumped into the cave, covering it with the boulder. This cave was within the mountain. Following the cave, it led directly to one of the Valley of Wind and Thunder's mountain walls. On it was a hole that was about 30 centimeters wide. What's this? Thunder God's eyes lit up. Hong picked up a smooth little stone that was close to the hole's entrance. It was mostly black, but its membrane seemed to emit a peculiar blue color. The normal stones here were all black, or black stones mixed with a little silver. Only the wind corner stones' surfaces had that layer of blue shine. From what they heard, these wind corner stones had endured the lightning strikes, and not get vaporized, absorbing some on the lightning's power and forming the peculiar stones. Wind cornerstone, it's a wind cornerstone. Thunder God said. I'd never expect to be able to just pick up one wind corner stone. Luo Feng laughed as he walked towards the hole's entrance. Outside, the wind outside howled bloody murder, and as the cave was completely sealed up, the wind inside was very small. Luo Feng turned over to the other four. The wind outside is terrifying. It'd be hard to obtain another one like that. The only reason why there was one within the cave was probably because it coincidentally flew into the hole because of the wind. However, these sort of things were purely based on luck, otherwise there wouldn't even be one, second and third brother. According to the book, we have 3 options right now. Hong said softly. The first is to go to the peak of the canyon and risk our lives to pick up the wind corner stones. As the winds get stronger, the deeper we get, the more we get to the center, the stronger it'll be. Hence, the wind above at the peak is much lesser. At least star level 7 and 8 stages can withstand it. The only danger is, as it is the highest point, it'll be easy to attract lightning. Those cumulonimbus clouds above could easily strike down, no chance of survival at all. The second method is to get close to the valley and rely either on spirit reading or raw energy, collecting stones from the winds as they blow past and bring them in. This is much harder than just picking them, but the dangers are also much lower. It requires patience. The third method is to kill and obtain from the other teams, stealing from them. Everybody decide, which method should we use? Hong looked at Thunder God and Luo Feng. Luo Feng creased his eyebrows and pondered. Heading towards the peak to retrieve the wind corner stones would definitely be the fastest. If there wasn't any lightning, it would be as simple as picking stones. However, according to the experiences of the earlier generations, when retrieving the stones at the peak, with all the metal on one's body, the more metal there was, the more likely it'd attract lightning. If one arranged for a metal robot to go, it would 100% get struck down. And humans wearing their normal clothes, the possibility of being struck was about 1 out of 2. If he wore alloy battle uniforms, the probability rose to 2 out of 3. These were all experiences from the generations of elders who had been in the world of thunder before. The first method is very dangerous, and it's purely on luck, it's not beneficial for us. The third method, robbing and killing other teams. Luo Feng shook his head. Right now the position of the cave we have is extremely good. The cave's hole is also on the mountain itself. We'll use the second method for now. At the same time, we'll see how the other teams obtain the wind corner stones and discuss again then. That's good too. Hong nodded. Thunder God agreed, hence Luo Feng and his group began their waiting game. To catch the flying wind corner stones through the hole of the cave, 1, it required luck, 2, it required strength. As the howling winds made it impossible to see clearly, with large amounts of rubble flying about, only occasionally would there be 1 or 2 wind corner stones flying by, hence it required luck. And one had to grab them when it flew past the hole. Grabbing them in a blink of an eye. If you missed it, then you have to wait for a long time again for the next one. There was no way around it. With the mad winds infused with universe energy, one spiritual force, the moment it was materialized and extended, it would immediately be destroyed and disperse. The spiritual force hand that Luo Feng conjured could only be maintained at about a distance of 20 centimeters outside the cave before dispersing. And the star level 9 Ao Gu's spirit hand could only be extended to about 1 meter without dispersing. More than 1 meter, and Ao Gu couldn't maintain its stability. Ironically, the thing that made Luo Feng the most pleasantly surprised was the currently star level 4 cloud contact vine. After shrinking, could form a vine that was extremely sturdy, and swiftly extend about 2 meters into the mad wind and grab back. Even though the vines would be damaged, its regeneration speed could maintain its lightning-fast extension and retraction at 2 meter. This was indeed a pleasant surprise for Luo Feng. This universe energy-infused howling winds probably had a destructive effect on spirit reading and these forms of energy existences. However, it had lesser damage on plant-like things like the cloud contact vine. Within the Valley of Wind and Thunder, most of the teams used this waiting method to try and catch the wind cornerstones, while some others forced their slave bodyguards to head to the peak to risk their lives to acquire the wind cornerstones. However, this was rarely seen as the slave bodyguards were after all battle strength. Losing 1 or 2 of them had a big impact on the team overall. On the third day of being in Wind Thunder Canyon, Luo Feng's group acquired their second wind corner stone. On the 5th day, they acquired their third wind corner stone. On the 9th day, they acquired their 4th stone. This was also mainly because their position was good. Normal teams would usually require at least about 1.5 years to travel across half of the world of thunder, and another 1.5 years to acquire the wind corner stones. Hence, using a few years to complete the mission was very normal. Luo Feng's group was operating on extremely high efficiency. On the 32nd day of being at the Valley of Wind and Thunder, this cave's position is really good. If this keeps up, in another month, we definitely would have collected enough wind corner stones. Thunder God laughed. Luo Feng, Hong, Thunder God, Tainan He and Ao Gu sat crossed-legged. A particular vine had extended from Luo Feng's hand and was stationed at the hole, ready to swipe at any time. In front of the 5 on one of the cave's walls was a screen. That was something Luo Feng had ordered his living AI Barbata to make. On the screen were 4 different scenes, surveying the images and scenes within their 20 kilometers area. Even though we are in a cave, we can still see the teams within a 20 kilometers area clearly. Luo Feng laughed, it's so comfortable. Thunder God praised, look, there's another 2 teams fighting over there. Their evasive skills are really quick. This spirit reader is not bad too. Thunder God's eyes gleamed, evaluating the 2 teams that suddenly appeared on the screen, however his expression ashen, saying, it's Harur, Harur. Luo Feng's expression changed. Back then he and his 2 brothers met a few good friends within the killing fields of the virtual universe network. One of them was Harur and Bulemu. Back then, the 2 had said they were going to join the universe mercenary trainee exams. The entirety of the Black Dragon Mountain Star Field participants would all gather here. Hence the fact that Harur was here was extremely normal. Let's go. Hong was the first to rush out. Ao Gu and Tainan He looked at Luo Feng quickly. Luo Feng didn't hesitate too. Immediately the 5 swiftly followed the cave's other route and rushed out, using spirit energy to move the inconspicuous stone, the 5 left and placed it back. In the distance, the team Haruo was in was under pressure, an attack from another team. Haruo's team only had 2-star level 9 stages, and the enemy's team had 5-star level 9 stages. However, both teams were injured. Obviously they battled fiercely. The two teams swiftly noticed another team rushing over in the distance. Haruo. A spirit-reading message resounded in his ears. Haruo turned to look. The 5 lightning-fast silhouettes rushing over were Luo Feng, Hong, Thunder God, his 3 good friends. He immediately revealed an expression of glee, and the 2 rushing ahead of them Tainan He and Aogu, especially Aogu, who had long released his spirit weapon, becoming a beam of golden light. 2-star level 9 stage warriors. The enemy's team looked, their quantum computers long detecting their opponent's strengths. Retreat. Quickly retreat. The team leader ordered without any hesitation. The team quickly retreated. Even though they were 5-star level 9 stages, there were 3 with serious injuries. One had to know, even within the star level 9 stage, there were strong ones and weak ones. The strong ones were able to fight up to 10 of the same level. Haruo's only had 1 pretty strong star level 9 within his team. This was also the only reason why, even though they were at a disadvantage, they could hold out for so long. And the 2 of them charging forward, that meant that they had confidence. With the 2 teams joining together, the enemy team concluded they weren't a match. Even if they could fight back, with both teams incurring huge losses, that was something they didn't want, hence they just retreated. Luo Feng's team and Haruo's team united. Thanks. You all are. Immediately a bald youth with green marks on his both sides of his face walked over to say his thanks. They are my friends. Haruo said, walking forward at the same time, Luo Feng, Hong and Thunder God. Haruo said, what happened? How did you end up like that? Luo Feng and the other 2 looked at Haruo. Thunder God said, Haruo, aren't you from the Northern Dragon organization? How did you end up like this? Thunder God and Hong had realized the importance of universe language after their first time in the virtual universe network, hence they studied and learned it. With their brain aptitude, learning was indeed very fast. While it wasn't completely fluent yet, communicating wasn't a problem. Talking about it, it's really tragic. Haruo shook his head. Our team originally had 5 elites and 5 bodyguards. During the time we went to acquire the horns from the horned iron rhinos, we were surrounded by ferocious beasts and lost 1 bodyguard. After that, along the way to the Valley of Wind and Thunder, we were even attacked 6 consecutive times by other teams, and in that process, we lost another 2 bodyguards and 3 elite comrades. Haruo's expression was pained. Right now, our team only has 2 elites and 2 bodyguards left. Luo Feng felt a chill as he heard the story. My God. Even though his own team had experienced about 10 life-threatening situations, they were mostly dangers from ferocious beasts. As for robbing, with Aogu's power combined with the hybrid copper essence shard, it was a clean sweep. Along with Barbata's surveillance system, Luo Feng and his group had had an arduous journey along with injuries, but they hadn't lost anyone. Haruo's team actually lost more than half of their members. What about Bulemu? Thunder God asked, is he in another team? He's dead. Haruo shook his head. Luo Feng was shocked. That build and sturdy youth who looked like a black bear, he was dead. Luo Feng still vividly remembered the scene back when he, Hong and Thunder God wished the 2 of them a safe return. He never thought that within the blink of an eye, Bulemu was dead. How did it end up like this? There's no point being depressed about it. Haruo shook his head and smiled bitterly. The many brothers and sisters I've lived with for many years, I've already lost many of them. This is our so-called elite's first exams. Only through experiencing life and death struggles time and again will we finally be able to break through and become universe levels. Only those have the right to be called strong and become an important member of the organization. Filtering. Beside, the bald green-marked youth shook his head. This is filtering. Large numbers of the so-called geniuses and elites are eliminated through these life and death missions, dying. And only through these trials are some universe levels are produced. Our training camp has tens of thousands of elites, the ones who manage to become universe levels. If there are 10 of them, that's not bad already. Luo Feng, Hong and Thunder God exchanged glances. Cruel, very cruel. These were the rules of the universe organizations, collecting large numbers of geniuses and elites, giving the best education along with large amounts of conditions, before giving them the most cruel forms of elimination, finally producing a few strong warriors. One could say, joining the universe mercenary trainee exams couldn't even be deemed a strong warrior. This was all to prepare the strong warriors, going through with a ratio of a 1000 to 1. No, that was the probability of the elites of the large organizations. Accurately speaking, it was tens of millions to one. They may be able to produce a universe-level rumble. The entire world of thunder suddenly fiercely vibrated. Without any warning, it quaked. All the teams were shocked. What's going on? This world is about to collapse, my God. The entire world of thunder, with its 1,000 kilometers area, with tens of thousands of people taking part in the exams, the star-level explorers, all of them looked up and around terrified, looking at the world. And Luo Feng's team and Heruo's team naturally too were shocked as they looked up and surveyed their surroundings. The entire world was trembling, even the mountains were shaking. What's going on? Luo Feng looked around. Over there. Somebody shouted out. About 10,000 star-level warriors, as long as they were in the mountain range. They all saw simultaneously the not-so-distant mountain tear open, with black holes that seemed to have been rips in space and time appearing. Half of these holes were on the mountain range, while the other half were within it. The space around it was getting ripped apart. It was extremely terrifying and peculiar. This video will end here. Thank you for watching.